guys, welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhodes and I'm here to get you started on Unit 32, CI Patterns. Please take a second to gather your materials. You will need your purple book open to page 197. You'll also need some colorful pens, markers, or crayons. Remember, whatever I mark on my board, you should be marking on your page. Please save room for a key as well. If at any point I'm moving too fast, please pause the video to catch up. You'll notice we have lots of big words this week. So what I've done is I've broken them into syllables by using these pink vertical lines. I've also used a pink check mark to signify the stressed syllable. That is the part of the word that we say a little bit louder and stronger. I've added both of those to my key. All right, we have spent the last couple weeks talking about the letter I. We know that I sometimes sounds like an E, a long E, in words like patio or calcium. We know that it can also sound like a Y when it's followed by a vowel in words like genius or million. Well, this week we're going to see what happens when I comes after a C and before a suffix. So CI, you're familiar with this. You've seen it at the beginning of lots of words like citrus or civic or civil. But something happens at the end of a word when it has a suffix tacked onto it. Sometimes that CI turns into a sh sound in a word like appreciate or artificial. And sometimes it takes on a ch sound in a word like ancient or conscious or conscience. Okay, so let's start by reading our list. As we do, use your eyes to look for that CI in each word and use your ears to listen for a sh or ch sound. Please repeat after me. Ancient, appreciate, artificial, commercial, conscience, crucial, deficient, efficient, facial, financial, glacier, judicial, official, omniscient, proficient, racial, social, special, sufficient, superficial. All right, choose a color. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look for that CI in words where it makes a sh sound. So let's skip this one and go right to appreciate. There's that sh sound, CI followed by a suffix. We see it again in artificial, commercial, crucial, deficient, efficient, facial, skip that one, glacier, judicial, official, omniscient right here, proficient, racial, social, special, sufficient, superficial. All right, so lots of examples. So over here, blue box equals CI, but that CI is making a sh sound. We only hear that sh sound if the CI comes towards the end of a word and is followed by a suffix, whether that suffix is ENT or AL or ATE, all those suffixes we've been learning this year. Now, something different happens in ancient. Instead of making a sh sound, the CI is making a ch sound. Look at the letter that comes before it. There's something about that N, ancient, that it makes it easier to make a ch instead of a sh, I guess. So we see that in ancient. We see it again in conscience. Now that S is silent. We're going to talk about why that's there in a minute. But here's the sound we hear right before. Conscience. This time, so this made a ch. And now this is going to make a ch. Conscience. And then right here, financial. So when that CI comes after an N, it's going to make a ch sound. So over here, brown box equals CI, but this time it's making a ch sound, okay? It's still coming right before our suffix, so its location doesn't change. The only thing that changes is there's an N sound, a N coming before it. Okay, so let's go back to this S though. Why is it there? Well, if you look at the word conscience, there's this SCI chunk. SCI comes from a root that means no. So your conscience is that thing that helps you know the difference between right and wrong. So a conscience is that voice in your head, that knows right versus wrong. If you steal something, if you hurt someone on purpose, it's your conscience that's making you feel bad, right? Your conscience is that voice in your head that knows what's right and what's wrong. Now we see this again, here's that same chunk in omniscient. Omni is a prefix that means all. So if somebody's omniscient, it means they are all knowing, like a God, right? Or sometimes we hear this in literature. Sometimes a book has an omniscient narrator, which means the voice telling the story knows everything, knows what all the characters are thinking and doing. So omniscient means all knowing. Conscience means knowing what's right versus wrong. So just keep that in mind, okay? So that's why the S is here and here, even though they're silent, they come from that psi root. Now there's another really important root that I want you to know this week, and we're gonna practice it when we get to page 200. It is the fic root, and whenever you see a word that contains these three letters, F-I-C, it has something to do with making or doing, okay? Making or doing. So, if we go through our list, here it is right here. If something is artificial, well, there's our AL suffix, so we know it's probably going to be an adjective, right? If something's artificial, it's not real. It's made up. So you see commercials on TV and they're talking about a healthy snack, and they say no artificial ingredients, no artificial colors, no artificial sweeteners. It means they're not using stuff that was made in a laboratory. They're not using made up stuff. They're using just real ingredients that came from nature. Okay, so if something's artificial, it's fake, it's made up. We see that fic again right here in deficient. If something is deficient, it's an adjective, right? We learned about this several weeks ago. ENT is often a suffix for an adjective. So if we are deficient, it means we are lacking. It means we don't have enough. We don't have enough to do what we want to do. So if our diet is deficient in calcium, then our body doesn't have enough calcium to make strong bones. If our diet is deficient in vitamin C, we're lacking vitamin C, our body doesn't have enough to fight off colds and germs. Okay, so if you're deficient in something, it means you're lacking and you don't have enough to do what you need to do. Now let's jump all the way to sufficient, because these two things are opposites. That's another adjective. We know that because it's got its ENT suffix. If something's sufficient, it means we have enough, right? So we need to make sure that we spend time outside so we can get sufficient sunshine, sufficient fresh air, enough so that our body can do what it needs to do, okay? So we have artificial, deficient, sufficient, efficient. There's another adjective, right? If something's efficient, it works well. It does what it has to do, right? If you think about your home appliances, washing machines, dishwashers, they've gotten more efficient over the years. They're better at doing what they have to do quicker and more effectively. Okay, do we see this anywhere else? There it is in official. Okay, do we have official on here? No, we don't, but that's okay. So if something's official, again, it can be used as an adjective. It can also be used as a noun if we're talking about a person like a government official, right? So an official is someone who does the work of the government. So someone who does government work. If somebody comes to your home on official business, it means they are coming to your house to do work for, on behalf of the people in charge. Okay, so official. Proficient, here's another adjective. If you're proficient, you're good at doing something. Okay, so I am not proficient in Spanish. I know a few words. I don't know enough to live in a Spanish-speaking country and do what I would have to do there. So if you are proficient, you're good enough, able to do something. I am proficient in certain computer programs, not others. Okay, I think, superficial. There it is again. I told you this was a good root. Superficial is another adjective, and that means on the surface. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure how that ties in with that fic root, but if something's superficial, like let's say, your little brother was playing with his bow and arrow in the backyard and he accidentally hit you with the arrow, but it was just a superficial wound. That means it just skimmed the surface, okay? So it didn't go in deep. Sometimes we talk about people being superficial. If they're not deep, if they don't care about important things, but they just worry about superficial things like what somebody looks like or how many nice things they have. They're just worrying about the surface level. They're not going in deep. When you get to page 200, you're going to see a lot of these words we just talked about. Artificial, sufficient, deficient. Notice all of those words use the CI, so it makes a sh sound. But you can also, efficient, artificial, difficult, yeah. You can also sometimes, depending on the letter that comes after in a word like difficult or certificate, that C is going to make a k sound. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, you've got lots of words that have that FIC chunk, and you're going to match the words with their definitions. Okay. All right, very quickly, let's just go through and hit the words that we haven't discussed yet. I know we got a lot of them. Ancient. There's our adjective suffix. If something's ancient, it's really, really old. Think about the ancient ruins. If you appreciate something, there's that long A suffix. That means it's a verb. If you appreciate something, you know the value of it. Okay. Now that mom asked you to start helping with dinner, you start to appreciate how much work she does, how much time it takes to grocery shop and plan the menu and prepare the food, okay? You know the value now of her hard work. Commercial, there's that AL suffix, which means it can be used as an adjective, but it can also be used as a noun. Think of words like hospital or numeral. So a commercial can be an ad, like an ad on TV. But if you're talking about your community, your town, there are different zones. There might be a residential zone where people live in their houses. There might be an industrial zone where they have factories and warehouses. And then a commercial zone, that's where commerce can take place. Commerce means trade. So a commercial zone would mean a place that has stores. Which makes sense, right? Because a commercial is an ad that tries to encourage you to buy something. So that ties in with commerce too. So a commercial can be an ad. A commercial zone can be a place where there are stores where people can sell things and engage in commerce. Crucial, another adjective, means very important. So let's say your class is taking a field trip to Boston in 3 days and you keep forgetting your permission slip. Your teacher might say, it's crucial that you bring that permission slip. If you don't bring it, you can't come with us, okay? We talked about all these. Facial, that's another describing word. There's that AL suffix we know so well. Facial means of the face. Some people make really funny facial expressions. Financial, there's another adjective. Financial means having to do with money or finances. Related to, having to do with money, okay? Sometimes in the news you hear about a financial crisis, right? All these banks are in trouble. They don't have enough money to do their business. A glacier is a noun. We talked about that ER suffix before. A toaster toasts, right? A glacier, it doesn't glace, but it comes from French, and GLACE means ice in French. So a glacier is like an ice cap. Okay. There are still glaciers up like near Antarctica, and even here in the United States, many of our mountains, our rivers, our lakes were carved by glaciers. Judicial, there's another adjective. Judicial means like of the courts, like law. Sorry, I'm scribbling everywhere. If you think about our branches of government, we have the executive branch. That's the president or the governor, if we're talking about the state level. We have the legislative branch. That's your your Congress, your House of Representatives, they make the laws. And then you have your judicial branch. That's where the judges and the juries, the Supreme Court is. So if we're talking about judicial proceedings, we're talking about stuff that's happening in the court system. Racial, another adjective having to do with race, right? Sometimes we do studies to look at different racial groups to make sure they're getting the same opportunities. Social is another adjective. Social just means like among people. So maybe you have a really good social life and you hang out with friends all the time. Maybe you don't have much of a social life. Maybe that's okay. Or maybe you want to improve your social life. You want to be among more people. Special, another adjective. I bet you know what that word means. If something's special, it's dear to you. All right, that's it. Lots of great words this week. Go back and review it if you need to. Good luck, and I will see you next time.